higher gossip.
Seeking the truth.
The ultimate truth of, like, life?
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
But here's an interesting thing I've been thinking, too. What if there isn't one?
Yeah.
And we're just searching for it, and then it's just like, wow, like, you spend your whole life searching for this ultimate truth when there isn't.
Yeah.
But, like, also, what if there is?
That. Yeah.
And
like,
that's so
if there
cool.
is, then somebody's got to find it.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I think some people have, like, I mean,
yeah.
I
that's the thing, is it's like, there are enough examples of people who seem to have, like,
reached.
They got something going on that's not fake that other people can't really understand. So it's like, well, at least that's a starting point, is to
at least get there.
Yeah. As I was walking through the park on my way here, I ran into the guy, the Bhagavad Gita guy, and he was like, I'll give you a free book, and it was just a little book.
Did he give you the pink one?
Yeah, that's right. Well, I can't find the little book that he gave me, but then I just bought the Bhagavad Gita.
Okay.
So I was like, because you know what he's like, it's like this warrior, and he's like, I'm so sad, like everybody's fighting. Right. I don't want to fight. He's like, I just want to meditate and like be like a spiritual person. And then the god Krishna comes and talks to him, and is like, dude, I get it, like shit's fucked up, but you gotta interact in the world. Yeah. You can't just hide from it. So you can go fight and kill people, but like do it in a spiritual way.
How can you kill people in a spiritual way?
Well, that's what this book will teach you.
Okay.
Yeah, do you think you can kill people in a spiritual way?
I guess if you chant your Hare Krishnas 3 times and then stab somebody, maybe that's the spiritual way.
Well, what about like Nazis? Like if you had to
kill a Nazi in a spiritual Hitler way?
Like,
oh yeah, that's pretty spiritual. You're saving a ton of other people,
right? And
I guess that's what like the military is,
right? So
is the military spiritual?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure a lot of them think about it that way.
But it wouldn't be spiritual if war wasn't a thing in the first place.
Right. But war is a thing in the first place. It always has been. But maybe it always won't be.
I hope not.
Yeah.
War's not cool, man. War's not like hip or fresh.
No, war is not hip at all. I wonder if war will ever come back.
What do you mean? War is already here.
No, I mean just like, you know, like war was cool if you were like, you know, like a youth.
Oh,
like in like World War One.
Do you think it'll be trendy again?
Well, it'll depend if the thing you're fighting for is dire enough and you believe in it enough, right?
Do you think you believe in anything that intensely to where you're willing to like murder people for it?
That's a good question. You know, it's like, I want to answer yes, but it's sort of like...
But you don't know.
Yeah, it's sort of like, you're sort of like a poser to be like, yes, like until you're in that situation.
Right.
It's like being like, no, like, I wouldn't be a Nazi if I were like a German in the 1930s. Like, I know right from wrong. It's like, no, you probably would have been a Nazi.
I think I have
because like most of them were Nazis.
I think I have a lot of like Nazi in my background because I'm half.
Really?
I'm part German.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, my last name is Froelich, which means happy in German. But like, whenever I just think of Germany, I'm like, Nazis.
I thought your last name was Daada. Is that just on Instagram?
Daada is my middle name.
That's your middle name. So you're half Italian, half German.
Was Daada Italian?
I just assumed.
I am part Italian, but Daada is Mexican, actually.
Oh.
But I am Italian.
Italian-Mexican.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what is Daada? Just of Ada?
What do you mean?
Like
wait,
what does it mean?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I couldn't even spell it until I was like mid-high school.
Okay.
I was like, I don't even know my own name, man.
Yo, I really recommend researching your genealogy. I did it after I had to type up my novel, and
Whoa, you wrote a novel?
Yeah, I wrote a novel.
Right, you are a writer.
It's all coming back, right?
I mean, it's like
you're like a blind woman walking around this scene, this bombed out place you've been once before. And you're like, oh, this is where my children used to live. This is where I was in love.
That's how I feel.
This is the enormous mirror that it's really hard not to look at.
That's literally how I feel going through my life. I have really bad memory, probably from all the weed I've smoked, but so for me, it's just an adventure every day, just remembering things.
That's honestly, I don't drink very heavily anymore, but when I used to drink heavily, that was what I liked far more than I liked drinking.
You liked remembering?
No, I liked waking up a little confused and a little fresh.
Yeah.
Whatever the problem was before.
It's in the past.
It's very in the past.
So did you like getting blackout or?
I wouldn't say I ever really got blackout drunk, but I liked waking up in a strange place. Okay. You know?
Yeah.
And then just being where am I now? Where can I get a cup of coffee?
Damn, I've never gotten to the point where I'm in a different place without my knowledge, but I've definitely forgotten whole night.
Yeah. No, I don't mean. I'm kind of
a different place mentally.
I'm exaggerating a little, but I'm just saying if you sleep over at a friend's,
right.
yeah, and you're just in some neighborhood that's unfamiliar, and it's oh, I gotta go to work, time to get, and it's 7:30, and you're just coming out, and the sun is shining, and you're in industrial East Williamsburg, and there's a big football field, and
whoa, that's a very
some guys
memory.
selling burritos out of a truck on Hobart Street, you know.
So this is a big ass mirror that you have in this room?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't install it, but it's hard not to look at.
It's hard not to look at yourself when there's a mirror.
Yeah.
What do you think that is?
That's a good question.
Just vanity?
No, I don't think it's just vanity. I think it's the psychologist Jacques Lacan has this whole theory about the mirror stage, and that's when you become self-conscious as a person, is when you see yourself in a mirror and see oh, that's when you really realize that you're actually a person instead of just a stack of desires, I want milk and
so
change me.
So you think if the mirror was never invented, wow, what do you think would change? How would we be?
Well, there's always water and
Okay, yeah, but that's not as clear.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it is though, if it's really still water.
Yeah, but it's pretty clear if it's still water. And there's always there's shiny stuff,
Right.
But yeah, I think people the more things you have that show your face, the more self-conscious you are. So I think it's just natural because you're just
I find myself...
I don't know, it's just natural. It's a very natural thing to do somehow.
When there's a mirror in the room, I find myself talking to the other person, but looking through the mirror.
Oh yeah, that's kind of fun.
Just communicating that. Yeah. And it's always really weird. I don't even notice I'm doing it.
It is weird. We're doing it right now.
We're doing it right now. It adds a third element. It's there's another presence.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can feel that.
Well, maybe those people on the other side of the mirror are having some version of this conversation right now, But okay, so genealogy.
Yes, genealogy.
Yeah, I was I looked for a little bit of help in doing this typing exercise, a little bit of pharmaceutical help.
Okay.
And so then, but that just launched me into uber procrastination mode. And so then I just from 12 a.m. to 7 a.m. I just spent 7 hours straight on findagrave.com, myheritage.com. And I found out
what did you find out?
Oh my God, so much interesting stuff. There were legends about my great-grandfather who immigrated to the United States from a shtetl in Lithuania.
Cool.
And it was like, he died when my grandfather was young, and he got hit by a train. And it was always, but my grandfather would never talk about it under any circumstances. Okay. And so it was always sort of assumed to be suicide. Because it was also during, it was like around the time of the crash, the stock market crash.
Yeah.
But so I managed to learn more about this guy, and he was like, there's like a term like a mocker, like somebody who's always on the make, like always has a new scheme. But he was also kind of a scammer, and he was like in trouble with the law a lot. And he had a rag factory. His main thing was he had a woolen rag factory in Worcester, and it burned down soon before he died. And he was the first Jew to run a movie theater in the United States. That's not impossible, yeah.
Well,
or he committed suicide.
His factory burned down.
Well, I think the sounder interpretation, if you look at it, is that maybe he did that for the insurance money.
Oh, okay.
But so, my grandfather was always this, like, incredibly by-the-book guy.
Right.
In a way I think of as very characteristic of his generation, the Great Generation. And he, like, worked on the Manhattan Project in World War II. He was an engineer. He was, like, obsessed with, like, having, like, a tight family and being, like, a good family man. And just, like, sacrificed everything for his family. Yeah, so he's, like, kind of the opposite.
How do you think your own family... This is a little deep. Yeah. But, like, some things that they were very set on, like, affected you maybe doing the opposite.
Oh, my God, so many ways.
Yeah, there's probably, like, a ton.
1,000. I don't know. Well, I've been taught, what about you? I don't know.
Oh, man, you're flipping it back on me. That is a hard question. Maybe, like... My parents are very by the rules, too, and, like, very by the book, and I'm, like...
German.
Yeah, and the Mexican, too. Like, it's very, like, you cannot disobey this, and I'm very, like, the opposite. Like, I hate having any sort of rules, or... Not, like, boundaries, but, like, just guidelines for anything. I'm like, fuck that. Mm-hmm. Why is that a thing, you know?
And how do you think that has shaped your life thus far?
I think I meet cooler people. I think I meet cool people. Like, the person I hung out with today, I literally was, like, reading in the park, and this girl just came up to me and, like, handed me a picture of, like, a drawing she drew of me. And, like, they both put their numbers in the back of the paper, and I, like, just hung out with them one day. And just, like, meeting cool people by, like, not being afraid to be like, don't talk to strangers.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I feel like mostly you can talk to strangers these days.
Right. You just gotta be a little on guard.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know.
Wait, they both put their numbers? So there were two people?
Yes. I thought that was weird.
So it was a man and a woman?
It was a man and a woman.
But then... Correct me if I'm wrong. So the woman handed you the...
The woman handed me the note.
But you went on a date with the man.
With the guy. So
she's his wing woman.
Yes.
That's a very good wing woman.
I think so, too. And the first time I hung out was with both of them together.
And here's the real question to assess the value of her wing womanship. Yes. Do you think if it had just been him, and he had handed it to you... that you would have hung out with him? Yeah. You do? Because
I don't give a fuck. Like, I just want to make connections and stories and see what happens, you know? Maybe I would have been a little more hesitant, but I probably still would have.
Yeah. Was it a good drawing?
It was pretty good.
I can put it in the...
Okay, I can put it in the podcast. Send it to
you. Because I only have it on YouTube, because I got... confused doing other stuff, trying to put it on other places.
Oh, did you try to do, like, the podcast app?
Yeah, well, I tried to do it all myself, like, instead of, like, using one of these apps.
Yeah.
Like I tried to like learn Linux systems administration.
That sounds like really hard.
That was a bad choice, yeah.
I'm really scared to like try to even start figuring out how to put my podcast up.
Yeah. Well, there's definitely a way to get somebody to just do it for you for a fee.
I'm gonna have my sister do it.
Well, I didn't mean I meant like online services.
Okay.
But yeah, you can definitely get your sister to do it too. I'm sure she'd be happy to. Not that I know her.
Wow. We were gonna do a claymation to the podcast.
So tell the folks at home about your incipient podcast,
okay.
Eva.
Yeah. So yeah, what's up? My name's Eva. I was gonna do a podcast. It was basically just like this, like talk about whatever. And I was going to do, like, claymation visual element to it. And, I mean, I did, like, the intro, and I did a few scenes of that, but it just took so long. And my sister was like, let's just not fucking do that, because we're going to end up just not doing this if we put that much pressure. And we're really precious with it, so I'm not doing that claymation thing with it anymore, which is kind of sad, but who has the time?
Yeah. I have to force myself to be as lazy as possible sometimes. Like, because I'm just like, I can't get this done if I try to do it super good.
Oh, okay.
Like, I'm just done is better than perfect.
Too precious for that.
Yeah. Just like, do like a done. Like, the first versions of this that I recorded were in December. And I was just like, I'm gonna like build a website and like figure out how to get the RSS feed. And I was like,
it's a lot.
Dude, just like,
it's a lot.
Fucking upload it to YouTube.
Are you pretty like a workaholic type of person?
I guess in some sense, I don't know. In some senses, yeah. I like to have a task.
Okay.
Like I don't, but I don't really. I wouldn't say I'm like career oriented so much.
What are you oriented around? Also a hard question.
No, I would say it has a corny answer. I'd say truth. I'd say I'm truth oriented.
Whoa.
I'm interested in like seeking the truth.
The ultimate truth of like life?
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
But here's an interesting thing I've been thinking too. What if there isn't one?
Yeah.
And we're just searching for it, and then it's just like, wow, like, you spend your whole life searching for this ultimate truth when there isn't.
Yeah.
But, like, also, what if there is?
That. Yeah.
And
like,
that's so
if there is, then somebody's got to find it.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I think some people have, like, I mean,
yeah. That's the thing, is it's like, there are enough examples of people who seem to have, like...
reached.
They got something going on that's not fake that other people can't really understand. So it's like, well, at least that's a starting point, is to
at least get there.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to do too.
Yeah.
I'm reading this book right now called Being Ram Dass.
Oh, whoa.
Do you know who Ram Dass
I do know who Ram Dass is,
so it's his, like, autobiography.
Oh, whoa.
And it's really cool, because he was just, like, a Harvard professor, bisexual, which was, like outwardly bisexual, which was not a thing back then.
Yeah.
And he just started doing tons of projects and research on psychedelics, and the Harvard was, like, funding it. And then he just, like, went to India and, like, met this dude, and became this spiritual entity that people... gathered around, and I'm like, that's so fucking cool.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing, I've like listened to part of an audiobook while I was in the car with my friend who was listening to the audiobook. But
do you know what it was?
I don't remember, but I'll tell you what I took from it, and maybe maybe you'll know what it was. But he said something like, we're born into the situation we're meant to reconcile. I even stole that for an Instagram poem.
Whoa.
So, like, if you're like, man, like, I could have been such a great salesman if only I had been born in New York City instead of... It's like, nah, you were, like, supposed to be born in Wichita, because that's going to give you a perspective that a salesman born in New York City wouldn't have. This is a terrible example because I don't think being born in New York City matters very much if you're a salesman. But I think he was talking about it in the context of being born Jewish, but drifting away from that faith, and I think eventually drifting kind of back towards it in some way.
So that just makes me think of destiny.
Yeah.
Which, do you think destiny is real? Do you think everything happens for a reason?
Yeah, I think everything happens for a reason is a tough way to put it, because then you get into having to defend, or not defend, but just be well, what was the reason for this completely gruesome, inexplicable behavior? So, yeah.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too. I always say that, and then people are like, well, what about, this thing? And
right.
I'm like, I mean, I don't want to be an asshole, but I'm sure you're going to learn something valuable from it, and it's going to make you a better person.
Right. Well, yeah. But, I mean, there's also oh, well, what about this just brutal murder? It's you can't learn much from that because you're dead. So, yeah, it becomes tough to reconcile. And I feel the typical way is people will look, oh, well, God works in mysterious ways. And even that does sound quite cheesy. And even perhaps cold towards suffering. But okay, so that's what we have against this way of thinking. But what's for it? Yeah, what are the pros?
I feel it takes a lot of the worry off.
Yeah.
You're just worrying less. Because, worrying, there's no point to it. It's one of the things that's, there's no reason to, and, we know that, but we still do it.
Yeah.
It doesn't help you in any way.
Yeah, there's a lot. I find myself worrying senselessly quite a lot. Sometimes, I mean, there are things worth worrying about.
Yeah.
Right?
But then it's
what if you're stuck in a ditch?
Right. But if it's not something that you can change in that instant,
right,
then it's not. And I find myself trying to sleep at night,
and
I'm worrying about what am I going to do about this thing tomorrow, and what am I going to do about this, and then I have to remind myself nothing right now, bitch. You in bed. Go to sleep.
Yeah, I would say a large part of my worrying is actually counterproductive to achieving the things I want to achieve. But also the destiny thing. Now I feel defensive against imaginary detractors.
What do you mean?
Well, because it's okay, we've said we both think that destiny exists, and we're well, but it's kind of cold, and it's...
pros.
But the pros are that it feels good. But no, here's the thing, it's there's... throughout history, and among people, this sense of destiny is prevalent.
Right.
So you can say, okay, all of those people are deluded, but at a certain point you have to take the experiential data as itself
into account.
Yeah, as itself persuasive.
Yeah, I agree with that. I also in a weird way, I kind of try to look at the universe problems as math, because everything kind of has to balance out.
Totally.
That's I guess the yin yang. So
totally.
If everything has to balance out, then it's kind of well, it's gonna happen for a reason. There's an innate balance to the world, and I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that.
No, I know what you're saying. You're saying that, when you think about balance on a very large scale, then oh yeah, of course everything has to happen for a reason because you have these two different weights. And it's not even just
balance in your own life. I think it's wow, this horrible thing can happen to you, but it's going to help this person that you don't even know.
Oh yeah.
Helps the world in a weird way because everything just dominoes onto itself. So.
Have you been hearing a lot more people talk lately about the simulation?
Oh, don't even get me started on the simulation. Holy shit!
Because that's what your mathematical conception of the universe
reminds me.
What do you think
about the simulation?
Well,
theory?
I'm suddenly hearing it come up a lot more. Maybe that's because I'm spending more time among technologists, both. Not even IRL, but just people I know. Yeah. And then podcasts. But I don't know, I find it increasingly persuasive. But on the other hand, if everything is actually fake, then
it doesn't even matter anyway.
Yes, and also by what standard are you judging the fakeness of things? If your standard for judging reality versus fakeness is also fake.
Oh shit.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, and we're not even high at all right
now. No. This is, I think about, I don't know, I definitely find myself getting sucked into simulation, theory thinking all the time.
Yeah.
Do you know the movie The Truman Show?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so that's one of my favorite movies.
It's a good movie.
And especially when I'm baked or something,
yeah,
I will literally just convince myself that everyone's an actor.
Yeah.
And this is fake, and I'll literally ask friends are you an actor right now? I will spiral to that extent.
Mm-hmm.
And I also just notice weird things. Last time I did some mushrooms. I was on a boardwalk, kind of just sitting, looking at all the people passing by, and I noticed the same people would just keep going by, they were just reusing the people, and after the second or third time they would go by, I would try to say hi to them, and all of them would ignore me, and I'm bro, that's fucking weird. It's pretty glitchy, but also at the same time, it doesn't matter, because even if it is a simulation, okay, so what, you can't do anything about it. You just gotta, make the best out of what's happening right now. A funny... You seem very thoughtful.
Yeah, a funny take on the simulation I've heard is, how you seem to get into characteristic situations all the time. I find this very true in my life. There are certain... It's funny because I talked about this with my friends James and Camila on the podcast, but there are just certain things that seem to kind of happen to me a little bit independent of what I do. I have a very characteristic situation for me is I make some minor mischief, and then, it gets blown way out of proportion.
The drama.
And then, in the end, everybody realizes it's okay. And it's fine. But it just...
Interesting.
But I'm just oh, why does this keep happening?
So how do you feel about that?
Well, right now I feel thoughtful about it. Because, okay, so the simulation take is okay, if anybody knows if you're designing software, you want to reuse as much of the code as possible to be as efficient as possible.
The people that kept going by.
The people who kept going by.
One thing I've been calling this month my saxophone month. Because wherever I go, there is always a man playing saxophone. Happened today. There's always a dude playing saxophone near me. That's one of the things I keep noticing.
But you do live near Washington Square Park, where there's a lot of saxophone players.
Fucking like anywhere though, like it's weird. And then another thing that I notice, a very like consistent thing, I call it my like technology curse. So whenever I'm around technology, like it usually acts up like a shit ton. Like I'll go into somebody's place and I'll press the button for their like lights in their room and their diffuser will go off because it just connected to that. Like my TV is connected to my fan. I have an Alexa that's not supposed to be an Alexa. It just like came alive. Just like weird shit like that. And I'm like, that's not.
Stay away, witch. Get away, get away from my mic.
If this all gets fucked up right now, I'm sorry.
No, I know what you're talking about, though. I mean, and the question is just, is that an actual accurate perception of reality, or is that like just a kind of weird trick that our brain plays on us, where we
just noticing patterns,
where we like we're not really looking at the data in an objective way. We're just like, it's like bias confirmation. But I don't know. No, I mean, I have a funny thing also where I'll find like, if I'm in a very irritable mood from like sounds bothering me, then like in an almost mystical way, like irritating sounds will follow me.
Okay. That's interesting.
Whereas if I can just relax a little bit, that'll stop happening. Now, again, the rationalist explanation of this would just be, well, when I'm really keyed up from like being irritated by sounds, then I just notice more irritating sounds. That's a pretty good explanation.
Yeah, I mean that the people, like, I tell a lot of people about my technology thing because it's like very prevalent.
You warn them.
Huh? I warn them because it's been so many times I would go to people's places and be like, this has never happened before. And then I'm like, hey, like, guys, I'm gonna step out. And I'll, like, step out, and then be like, and I'll, like, wait a bit, and I'll come back, and, like, it fixed. I'm like, okay, yeah. But it's also, like, a thing where I'm like, maybe it's just because I don't like technology. I've never been a person that liked it. And I think technology kind of has, like, its own mind and its own presence.
Totally.
So it can sense that. So it's gonna be an asshole back to me.
Totally.
Everything goes both ways. So I'm trying to just, like, I love you, technology. Like, yeah, we got this.
Yeah, just at least for the duration of the podcast. Yeah. I suppose I should mention at this point that there was an evening earlier when Eva and a number of other people were here, and we recorded things. And then,
I forgot
and I saved it on my external hard drive, and then the next morning, my external hard drive crashed. So it's worth mentioning. Now, again, I probably didn't remove it safely. It's probably
but like, how many times have you removed it like that and it didn't matter?
Several.
So many times.
At least several.
At least two.
At least two. At least two. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that's interesting. You're anti-tech. That's cool. I used to be quite anti-tech. I think in some ways I still am.
Yeah.
What is your least favorite thing about technology?
I get very frustrated with things easily. So if it's not working for me right away, I'll like give up. And I'll be like, can you do this for me? Like, I just won't do it. So I also like make music and I do film. So I'm working with technology all the time.
Yeah.
So it just takes me like 3 times the time to get anything done.
Yeah. What video software do you use, if any?
I use Adobe Premiere.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got this free one with a shark. It's really annoying the shit out of me. What is it called? Not Groove Shark. Shark Swap? I don't know. Anybody who does video.
Get out me swamp.
I think there's a shark involved. Yeah. But I can see why it's free, man. Like, no, but it's like, there's this very, like, it seems like this very galaxy brain way of, like, cutting they've instituted, where it's like, like Audacity, what I'm using to record this now, it's like, you press, and then you press like Apple I, and you separate the sections, and then you cut this. It's like you kind of like highlight things to cut.
Oh, it's very flowy.
It's very flowy. There's fewer breaks.
Yeah.
If you're good at it, I suppose. But if you're not good at it, it's totally maddening.
Damn. I think I've used Audacity.
Yeah, Audacity is pretty simple. Audacity is open source, free. Yeah. Pretty cool.
I'll check that one out.
This is for audio.
I use, what do I fucking use? I use...
Oh yeah, what did you record your track with?
Wow, my mind is literally blanking right now.
Yeah.
Oh, Ableton.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that.
It's a lot, and it's expensive, and it's confusing, and there's just no reason that I should have that. Yeah, it is what it is, I guess.
Are you looking to do an EP or an LP?
I'm currently making an album.
You're making an album, yeah. Nice.
I was gonna.
Are you recording it at home or? Oh, sorry.
No. Yeah, I'm doing it at home. I was gonna name it Eva and Friends because I have like a different friend on each track.
Oh, cool.
But I might change the name.
No, I think that's good. You should keep that. I like that. Yeah.
Okay.
It reminds me of this book published by this anonymous anarchist collective called The Invisible Committee, and the name of one of their books is To Our Friends.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah, isn't that nice?
That's an interesting anarchist committee.
Yeah, I don't know if it's really a committee. It seems like it was mostly written by this one guy. Okay. There's like a commune in France. Right. And they sabotaged a railroad. And they got caught.
How did they sabotage it?
I don't remember.
What did they do? They put stuff in the tracks?
Yeah.
They fucked it up?
I can probably find this out quickly enough to talk about it on the pound.
Peels.
Yeah. They put banana peels outside the door of the conductor.
Oh my god.
Invisible Committee, Railroad. France? Tarnac 9. The Tarnac 9 are a French group of 9 alleged anarchist saboteurs. You don't hear the word saboteurs very often. The sabotage was done with the purpose of stopping the trains. We already knew that. Accused of criminal association for the purposes of terrorist activity on the grounds that they were to have participated in the sabotage of overhead electrical lines. I think they cut the lines.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a slippery slope with calling people terrorists, I
think so. It's a very intense label.
Yeah. I felt that way even about the Capitol stormers.
Is that what they were calling them?
I heard that, yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's pretty exaggerated, I think.
Yeah. It's just one of those words where it's like you use it and the conversation's over. You know what I mean?
How many, like, what other words do you think are like that? Like, you throw that label
out. I can think of several, but
I'm going to stop. Damn. Yeah, labels are interesting. Mm-hmm. I kind of hate labels.
Yeah. They're very effective because they're very effective.
They're so limited.
If you have an enemy, boy, is that effective at silencing your enemy, or even killing your enemy potentially. If you label somebody a terrorist, and you get them capitally punished.
Do you think labels are necessary?
Yeah, to some. It depends how broadly we want to define labels. I think you got to call things in order to move forward. Organize.
Yeah.
Like do civilization. Yeah. You don't have to do civilization.
I don't want to. I want to move to the woods in a cabin.
Really?
Yeah. That's my plan.
Yeah? I sometimes have, I guess probably a lot of us have similar fantasies these days. Where would you like to go?
Mine's either the cabin in the woods thing or, like, buying a fucking island with my friends.
Oh, yeah.
It's cheaper than you think. There's, like, some small islands and, like...
We talked about this, too, I remember.
Did we
yeah, we totally did.
I'm so sorry. My memory's
No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think, like... I don't remember where the islands were, though. Like, Indonesia or some shit.
Really?
But I literally, like, I'll live in whatever woods, man.
Are you handy?
No, but I'm a fast learner.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And my friend that I would want to move with, he's very, like, he hunts and, like, does all of that stuff, so.
Where does he hunt?
Texas.
So did you grow up in Texas?
I grew up in Austin, Texas.
That's right, okay.
Yeah. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in New Hampshire, mostly.
Okay, I don't know anything about New Hampshire. Tell me about New Hampshire.
Its state motto is live free or die.
Ooh, that's a good state motto.
It has quite a low population density. Has probably the highest percentage of libertarians of any state in the Union.
Whoa. Okay.
Largely because it has no sales tax and there are other anti-tax measures baked into the state's functioning. It's the lowest church-going state in the Union per capita.
You know a lot about New Hampshire.
Well, I'm from there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that much about Austin.
I'm sure you know some stuff about Texas.
I know some stuff, but...
Should I mess with Texas?
Never mess with Texas.
See, there you go. You know stuff about Texas. I saw some guy wearing a t-shirt that was like, fuck Texas.
Aww.
Like here in the village.
Damn.
I wanted to tell him, like, dude.
That's so rude.
Don't mess with Texas.
I mean, some part of Texas...
Oh, have you seen Nocturnal Animals?
No.
Oh, you gotta see that. That's one of my favorite movies. It takes place in West Texas.
Okay.
That kind of, like, pretty boy actor, Jake Gyllenhaal, and his wife are, like, driving to Marfa with their kids to, like, do some art shit.
Okay.
And then a terrible, terrible thing happens to them on the road while they're out in the road in West Texas on the way to Marfa. They encounter evil.
A vampire.
No, like regular human
okay.
evil. They encounter some people who intend to inflict suffering upon them.
Okay. You're gonna have to message me with that title.
Oh yeah, and then it's really about the aftermath of it.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, it's sort of hard to give a good synopsis for it, actually.
I think it's hard to do that for most things, because, like, how am I going to tell you this but not spoil it?
Yeah, and also the pith of a really good thing is typically something that cannot be summarized.
That's very true.
Yeah. Otherwise, you could just do the summary instead of the thing.
What is your novel about?
My novel is about a young woman who develops an artificial intelligence program that writes poetry. To her surprise, the company she founds is funded by a wealthy and notorious venture capitalist with whom she develops a business relationship. Soon afterwards, he dies under very strange circumstances in what is ruled a suicide, but she thinks it's rather fishy and investigates.
Did you get the idea of the suicide/investigating thing from your great-grandfather?
Oh, I thought you were gonna... I was really hoping you were gonna say from Jeffrey Epstein, because this predates Jeffrey Epstein.
Oh.
So I just wanted to show that...
No.
Life imitated art. No,
I mean, that is life imitating art.
That's so interesting. No, I don't think I've ever consciously thought about my novel in connection with the story of my great-grandfather.
Okay.
But maybe that was in there.
Subconsciously,
yeah.
That seems really interesting. So are you, like, into AI?
I'm interested in it, okay. Yeah. I'm by no means an expert. But, yeah.
What part of it interests you?
Well, what I was trying to get at a little bit in this novel was, like, it's sort of what we were talking about before. It's like, oh, like, is there a mathematical foundation for life as it exists? So in the novel, like, this thing that she invents sort of starts writing oracular poetry. It's like sort of like telling things about the world that she couldn't understand. Yeah. But so, like, weirdly, like, this is, like, nobody thinks about this when they think about technology, but actually, like, Leibniz, this philosopher, invented binary, which is the very foundation of all computer science.
A philosopher did it?
Yeah. And he invented it to try, like, he was, like, thinking about the I Ching, and he was, like, trying to invent a universal system for discovering everything about, like, God and the universe.
Whoa.
Like, that's why he invented binary. It wasn't, like, for lolcats, you know?
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's fucking wild, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Okay. That reminds me of, I was listening to a Duncan Trussell podcast, and they were talking about, like, there's these Twitter accounts, basically, that are just AIs.
Yeah.
And, like, this dude was noticing, like, everything this AI was tweeting was, like, things happening in his life. And he, like, went down, like, that weird, like, rabbit hole of...
Things happening in his Duncan Trussell's life.
No, it was his guest. I forgot who was on it. And
I see.
I wish I retained the knowledge of it better. But
yeah.
It just made me think of that.
That is interesting.
Yeah. It's kind of scary. I don't know, AI is kind of scary to me.
Yeah. I think when... My friend actually works in AI, and he was on the podcast.
Oh, shit.
And his name is also Noah. You met Noah.
I didn't meet Noah.
I keep forgetting. So, I mean, he is a data scientist, but, you know, he's technically familiar with much of what's going on in the world of AI. And he's saying, you know, it's a little less scary when you're, like,
when you
drill into it, because, you know, it's just, you know, it's just sort of the stuff computers do already, only more so. I don't even know if that's a fair statement. I'm sort of talking out of my ass a little bit.
That's cool. I mean, that's...
But he's just like, you know, he's like people, you know, people will get really bombastic with terms like machine learning. But, like, they're just computing. They're just, like, have these decision trees.
They're just their own language, I guess. Kinda. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like, so I don't understand technology at all. So for me, everything's like very foreign and like.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had a question and it disappeared.
Yeah. Was it about messing with Texas, New Hampshire?
No.
So how does it feel to see you and Jared both? You came like the wrong direction, I feel like.
What do you mean?
You're supposed to move, like in 2021, you're supposed to move from New York to Austin. Not Austin to New York.
Low-key feel like that as well. I'm like, why did I do that? But I'm glad I did, just because like the experiences I've had here, there's no way I could have had them in Yeehaw, Texas.
Like what?
Like the people I've met and just like the wild things I've done, like. In Austin, like, there's only so many things you can do. You can drive your car, you can go downtown and eat some food, and you can, like, go hiking. And those are the things you can do.
What are the wild things you've done?
Here?
Yeah.
Ah, man. I've got stories, but, like, I guess it usually starts with me meeting somebody. Like, we have this one dude. We were walking back from my friend's place. And he's, like, this old, goth-looking guy. And he was, like, selling jewelry, and my friend was like, hey, I have the same boots as you. And we all started talking to him. And he was like, it got, you know, like when you start talking to somebody and you like automatically like hit it off, and he's like, be in my like musical, like, he called himself our fairy goth father, and us his fairy goth daughters. We went into his basement with him, which is probably not something you should do.
Yeah.
He like dyed his hair in front of us, and then we like left, and he brought his guitar, and we were just jamming and walking around New York to a Strokes photo shoot, like the Strokes. We couldn't get in, obviously, but he like knew someone working there, and then we saw him like 2 other times, and like did hella coke with him and like random people, and just dumb shit like that couldn't happen in Texas. I mean, I guess it could, but like people aren't that weird there. Everyone's kind of.
Well, what it also makes me think, what I spend a lot of time thinking about is how different it is to be in a place where you can walk versus a place where you can't walk.
Yeah.
And there aren't that many major cities in the United States where, like, walking is the main thing.
Yeah, maybe, like, Chicago.
No.
No?
Not Chicago.
San Fran?
I don't know, maybe.
Fuck, I don't know either.
Yeah, I don't know. I've only been there as a little kid.
Like
Chicago, no. Chicago's very different from New York. It's way wider. Yeah. It's way, you know, when I lived there, at least, it really felt...
Oh, you lived in Chicago?
Yeah, I went to college there.
Oh, where'd you go?
University of Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah.
How was that?
It was okay. It was cold.
Yeah.
There was a lot of cool people there. Not a lot of really interesting people.
Don't they paint the water green for St. Patrick's Day?
In Chicago?
Yeah. The one time I went.
You know, I think they do. I never noticed. That's probably the Chicago River. You know, we weren't that close to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I remember. And the Bean and like...
The Bean?
The Bean.
The coffee shop?
No, the Bean.
What's that? See, I don't even know what that is.
What? It's like the main Chicago thing is the Bean. And it's just the statue of the Bean.
Oh, yeah. See, we were very removed. We were, like, very removed from all that. You don't understand. It's like, you know, it's sort of like going to, like, Fordham and being up in the Bronx, but, like, public transportation is way worse, and, like, everything's a little more self-contained.
I was going to go to Fordham.
Oh, really?
That was, like, I didn't think I'd get into NYU. So that was, like, my school. I'm like, I'm going to go to Fordham.
Fordham seems cool.
Yeah, my friend goes there. I went to, like, his dorm once, and that's my only experience.
It's a Catholic college.
Yeah, I don't know how... Do you have to, like, take religious courses?
I don't think so.
Okay, cool.
I mean, I don't know, but no. Well, you know, maybe, actually. My cousin went to Villanova, which is a Catholic school, and she definitely, like, had a fat copy of Augustine's City of God. Which it didn't seem like the sort of thing she'd be pouring through on her own.
Are you religious at all?
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
yeah. I mean, yeah.
What religion?
Well, you know, I think...
Like, would you say you're spiritual?
No, see, that's, you know, even worse, I feel like.
You don't want to label it.
I feel like there's a basic truth, which is discoverable.
Right, it's the ultimate truth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
See,
And there are different variations on it. There are different stories, but people are connecting to the same thing. Which is like a very, like, corny, like, you know, like 1990s liberal, like, conclusion, I feel like, but it's also true.
Or so you think.
Or so I think.
I mean, I agree, but I just call myself spiritual.
Right.
I mean, if I had to label, I'm like, oh, I'm just spiritual.
Were you raised Catholic?
No. I wasn't raised anything.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. My dad was Christian, or he is Christian, and my mom is atheist.
Oh, really?
So my dad would try to take us to like a few church things, and every time I'd just be like, I don't know if I like this. Mm-hmm. And I eventually was like, I don't want to do this, and he was like, okay. Mm-hmm. I worked at a few church camps too.
Oh yeah.
Just because my friends were there, and it was fun, but never really got into the whole thing. Mm-hmm. You never know, though. I want to study, like, Buddhism at some point and see where that takes me. Religion's cool.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, I guess I find it quite hard to talk about.
Why do you think you find it hard?
Well, maybe because I haven't fully crystallized my beliefs, yeah. But also, it's just the sort of thing for which it's sort of hard to find words, it seems to me.
I think it's kind of like, yeah, I think talking about it is definitely like the opposite of what it is.
Yeah,
it's
totally.
Such a feeling thing, and it's
totally. One of my favorite books is sitting right up there. It's the beat up one, which is tied together by a shoelace. I'll give you $10 if you can guess. First guess what that shoelace is made out of.
What it's made out of?
Yeah.
It looks like rubber.
Okay, I'm not going to give you $10.
Is it ribbon?
I'm going to take it. That is your guess. No, it's not. Now you can keep guessing if you want.
Okay.
Or you can stop if you want.
Is it satin?
No.
Is it... Oh, you mean like made out of like, not a material, but like a...
No, a material.
Oh, no.
Deer hide.
Oh. Yeah, no, I would not have gotten that.
I was working on a boat, and there's this woman who was also working on the boat. I was just like a temporary volunteer.
Okay.
She worked there more full-time. So we're like on a boat, so there's not like a ton of opportunities to like buy stuff.
Right.
And my shoelace on my boot broke, and she was raised by tanners, you know, so she like knew how to work with that stuff. So she just cut me off a strip of deer hide and made me a shoelace, and I was very grateful to her. She was a very cool person.
Tell me about this boat.
It's a sloop. It's a big sailboat that runs up and down the Hudson. You know it? You know the Clearwater?
I literally Googled sailing on the Hudson 2 days ago.
Oh, yeah.
Because some woman in my building was like, I'm about to go sailing, and I'm like, where, bitch? Like, I've always wanted to go sailing.
Yeah.
Like, I just really want to go.
I highly recommend it. Unfortunately, I don't know. Oh, maybe as of like now, they're considering taking volunteers again. But yeah, you can go work on it for like a week, maybe more. It's very cool.
Do you need to like have qualifications?
No. I mean, I think they kind of well, actually, I mean, you know, you have to be able to do physical labor.
Okay.
You know, and it's like, you know, it's like 10 hours of physical labor a day. But it's fun. Like, it's fun. I mean, personally, I really got a kick out of it. I mean, I really enjoyed the work I was doing. But also, like, weirdly, like, you do physical labor and then you, like, teach little kids. I don't know if this is still how they're going to do it post-pandemic. But it's just, they'll, like, sail up and down the Hudson and they'll, like, dock at a town. And then, like, you know, they have a business where they will, like, sell to the schools, like, the opportunity for little kids to come aboard. And, like...
What is it called? Hudson?
The Clearwater is the name of the boat.
The Clearwater.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was the brainchild of Pete Seeger. You know him? He's a folk singer.
I don't know. See, look, my last note was literally this. I just
Pier 66 Hudson River Community Sailing. Totally. I know of the Clearwater because I was literally walking by the river on the Upper West Side, and I saw this enormous sailboat. And there were like 2 people sitting on it, like smoking. And I was like, hey, like, what is this? And they told me, and they were like...
Couldn't happen in Texas.
No?
No.
You couldn't...
I don't think so.
Well, you could probably run into some people like I don't know, like hunting. Be like, hey, what are you hunting?
Right. Yeah. I'm not a big hunting person. I'm pescatarian. I don't eat meat, or I only eat fish, so...
Yeah.
I wouldn't...
You wouldn't be down for these. But if you move to your cabin in the woods...
I would, yes.
You're okay with your friend hunting.
The thing is, I think if I killed meat myself, I would eat it.
Totally.
Because the whole thing is just like these meat corporations.
Totally.
Killing the environment.
No, it's very different, yeah.
So, yeah, maybe I would, but it definitely, like, I'd have to, like, hype myself up for it and be like, I'd probably cry.
You can do, like, a little ceremony.
Killing spiritually.
Yes.
Like we were talking about earlier.
Yes. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna. But yeah, I really don't even think about the factory farms, but it seems pretty evil.
It just, yeah, I mean, when I was a sophomore in high school, I saw if I could be vegan for a month just for the fuck of it.
Yeah.
And I could. And then I watched, like, a documentary, and it just, like, run in depth on, like, how meat is killing the environment. And I was like, you know what, dude? Like, this was pretty easy for me, so I can just continue doing this. And then I was vegan for 3 years.
Yeah.
And then I, like, did exercise, and I was so lightheaded and dizzy for, like, all the time. And I was like, yo, I probably should eat other stuff. Yeah. And I worked at a burrito place, and they had this dope queso, so I was like, I am now vegetarian instead of vegan. And then I added fish now, so it's pescatarian, so we'll see if it keeps...
Next up is squirrels. Then rabbits.
Only stuff I kill myself.
Then we'll get to the bigger animals.
Yeah.
I do feel like I'm more energetic and just like feel like more of a human when I'm mostly eating meat and vegetables.
I don't know what it is. It's like you're eating the soul of like
the
animal.
Yeah, I've read a lot of people talk about that. Not a lot, but some people. No, yeah. It's like... I think there's a reason in Hinduism, for instance, where like you're advised not to eat mostly vegetarian or to not eat certain animals because it's like you're actually like the blood of an animal, it's like you're infusing yourself with that blood.
I mean, yeah, it makes sense. You are.
So if you eat like a warrior animal,
If you ate like a cheetah, do you think you get like really fucking fast?
Yeah, probably.
That's what the Flash is doing. He's just like
eating cheetahs all day, every day. Yeah. Oh man, I just watched this YouTube video where it was like adult jokes in kids' TV shows.
Yeah,
and
a lot of those.
The Flash was like talking to like, I don't know, like Catwoman, and he was like, I'm so fast. I'm the fastest man in the world. And she was like, yeah, that's why you can't get a date.
Okay. Go off, Catwoman.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty naughty.
Fucking something weird happened to me today when I was like on that boat with the dude. Like, we just got the boat. There was these like 10 probably middle school boys. And they were like, yo, like, give us your boat. We'll give you some money. And I was like, how much money? And they were like, $30. And I was like, show me the money first. And they didn't have it. And he's like, what about these shoes? And I was like, I don't want your shoes. And he's like, what about these AirPods? I'm like, I don't want that. And then...
AirPods, that's a lot.
I don't think they were going to give it to us, though. Like, they were just, like, hooligans.
How much was the boat?
It was free, because it's like $30, but we got it for free.
Right.
And I was like, no, like, fuck that. And we, like, started paddling away. He's like, I bet you're fucking liberal. And I was like, yeah, bitch, I am. Come at me. Oh, wait, you can't. I'm in a boat, and you're not in the boat.
That's interesting. That surprises me that he said that. I feel like that...
had the vibes of, like, very right-wing, like...
Really?
Yes, like, this little...
In Central Park?
Yeah. It was like
there's a pack of little right-wing
just like little white
10-year-olds
Republican like boys. It was so weird. And then they started like screaming at other people for the vote, and then I was just like really like, I don't know, they like got some fire in me, and I was like, don't give those kids your vote. They're not gonna give you money. And then he's like, fuck you, you fucking ginger. And I'm like, it's not my real hair color, motherfucker. Just yelling at kids for no reason. I felt bad, but I was also like, he probably needed it.
Huh. Everything about this story confuses me.
I know, me too.
Including, I guess I should look at your hair as like brown with very obvious.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious. I'm like, do you need your eyesight checked? Like,
yeah. Artificial.
Oh, weird.
Yeah. Well, that's a weird age.
Angry age. Middle school is definitely like anger.
Yeah. That's when we would get into little fights.
Physical fights? Or just like, okay.
Yeah.
I only fought with
we'd be friends after.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the good kind of fighting. Yeah. How old's your sister?
My sister is 22.
Who would win the fights?
It was pretty even.
Yeah.
She kicked a lot.
Kicking is important.
Kicking just in the face.
Yeah.
And
so the leg is a powerful appendage.
It is. I use my teeth.
Oh.
I was a biter.
Ooh, also
crazy.
Also very wise.
A lot of hair pulling.
Good thinking. Ooh.
Yeah, it was intense. We would get into like intense fights. Like we definitely like drew knives on each other a few times.
Literal knives.
Yes.
Sharp ones.
Yeah, like knives. We're good now. Like I live with her.
Yeah.
She's like my best friend. I think you need to get through that.
You need to get through that. Yeah. What happened when you drew knives?
I mean, we didn't fucking stab each other, but we would like threaten to stab each other, and then I don't know.
That's interesting. I don't have siblings.
Oh, you don't?
No.
Okay. Only child.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you have fun being the only child, or do you wish you had siblings?
Sometimes I had fun.
Okay. Cool, dude.
I had some like imaginary friends.
Oh, really?
At least one, yeah.
What was their name?
See, I feel like I've talked about this on an earlier podcast too, but it's okay because his name was Z. He was sort of like kind of like an aristocratic wisp of smoke, like a wisp of smoke with like a monocle, kind of like Mr. Peanut.
Damn.
But made out of smoke.
That's cool.
Yeah, he was a cool guy.
Aristocratic. Can you say that sentence again?
He was an aristocratic wisp of smoke.
That's a pretty sentence.
Yeah, it is a nice sentence, isn't it? Aristocratic wisp of smoke.
It's the writer.
Yeah. Yeah, he was cool. And like I would like make little encyclopedias. Read them.
You would make encyclopedias?
I mean, they weren't real encyclopedias, but I would just mean? I would just collect different information and, bind the paper together.
You're like making, the first AI. Like,
yeah, I was making the first AI.
At a young age.
Yeah, I should have been coding.
I did a fucking coding class.
Oh yeah? You didn't care for it?
No.
What language?
Like JavaScript.
Yeah.
I don't know why I was in the class. It was my first semester of college, and I was like, yeah, this sounds like a good idea. And I mean, it's a lot of memory, and I don't have that, so, yeah.
Well, soon the machines are going to be able to code for us.
They're going to do everything for us.
They're already, they're talking about software, the new paradigm for software is software just with humans at the edges, But,
just to make sure nothing malfunctions.
Or just, it's like, okay, now, like, here at the edge, I'll take this bit of data and be able to use this, but, like,
interesting.
Mostly,
it'll
just be machines. No, I mean, like, to make, like, okay, like, these are the exact people who want to buy my green sneakers. Like, great.
Okay.
I've got this teensy morsel of data that I'm at the edge of this huge tangle of software.
Tell me about your cryptocurrency thing, because
oh yeah,
I want to know about that.
Well, I got involved with this project called Urbit, which is very cool, in my opinion.
Urbit.
But the idea is to like if I send you like an Instagram message, you know, like that is not going from my phone to your phone. That message is going to a big data server run by Prince Zuckerberg and his loyal servants, and then it's going from that server to your phone, right?
Right.
And this is the model for like how all applications work these days, like the client-server model. But it actually doesn't have to be like that.
Right.
And in fact, it wasn't like that at the beginning of the internet. The beginning of the internet, it was like, oh, I have this big-ass computer at the University of Illinois, and I just want to talk to the other people with the big-ass computers in California.
Right.
We're just talking straight to each other. So if you can create a network of people with personal servers, then you're able to cut out a lot of the more evil things about the technological world we live in today, such as like, don't have any privacy, you can be arbitrarily banned, you're being like constantly manipulated with ads.
Yeah.
So like
Instagram's good at that.
Instagram's really good at that. So yeah, so Urbit as a network is not a cryptocurrency, and it does not have a cryptocurrency, but in some ways it's sort of aligned with the principles of cryptocurrency.
Okay.
So like there's a finite number of Urbits.
Urbits?
Yeah.
Like Orbeez.
What's an Orby?
What do you mean, what's an Orby? The little,
I know what a Furby is.
Furbies. I was talking about Furbies recently this week. Orbeez are like the little balls that are made of like... Okay,
I'm giving a very confused face. I know what an orb is.
Okay, so they start off as little like plastic beads, basically, and you put them in water and they grow.
Yeah.
Into like these balls. I don't know.
They're little balls and they grow into balls. They grow into bigger balls.
Wait.
Okay, that's logical.
Yeah.
Are they sponges?
No.
Do they like soak up the water?
They're slimy.
Can I see?
Yeah. Like, imagine getting in a bathtub.
Never seen this before in my life.
Sorry, I totally sidetracked Orbit.
No, it does. I don't mind.
Okay.
And I now have some new information.
Yeah.
Perhaps it'll come in handy someday. Maybe it'll be like one of those logic puzzles, right? Where like I have to stanch a leaky pipe, and I've got only a bunch of tiny balls. They're like, how can, like, these balls aren't big enough to fix the pipe. And I'll be like, oh, I had this conversation with Eva. They're Orbeez. We need to put them in water, and then they'll grow, and then we can fix the pipe.
When would that ever... I mean, you never know.
Yeah, just, you know, one of those things that could happen.
Just simulation things.
Yeah. But so, yeah, exactly. That's literally what I was like, you know, maybe like 1,000 lifetimes from now.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so there's like around 4.2 billion total Urbits. And so, like, Bitcoin sort of has the same principle. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin, right? So it's like artificially scarce.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? So like United States dollars, there's no cap on that.
Right.
So you can just print them out. Which is what we're doing right now.
So weird.
So it's like, that's really great, happy, yay, like, print more United States dollars. Like, everyone gets more United States dollars. But then, like, maybe not so good later.
Yeah.
Because, like, inflation.
No, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So when you build artificial scarcity into something, it kind of, you make it a little more valuable. You know?
Yeah.
So it's like with Urbit, one of the things is like, oh, like, that's a really good defense against spammers. Because, like, spam, you can just, like, get, like, 1 million different accounts and spam everybody.
So it kind of acts more as, like, trading. Like, instead of money. It's like
Bitcoin,
trading.
you mean? Yeah. Well, yeah. That's an interesting way to think.
Because it's cyclical. Like, it goes back.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, money is just trading.
Well, apparently not if they're making more.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Right. Yeah. You know, it's just a ledger kind of like data.
Yeah.
So it's like if you were like, oh, like I'm gonna start giving out Eva points.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I'll give Noah 10 Eva points. I'll give my sister 2 Eva points because that bitch pulled a knife on me. Right?
Yeah. And that makes me think of that Black Mirror episode with did you watch Black Mirror?
I've seen some episodes, but I don't think I've seen this one.
You know the nosedive episode where it's like social media and they like, instead of money, it's just like a rating that they give each other.
I've heard of that one. The funny thing, the criticism I've heard of Black Mirror is it's kind of like doesn't go far enough, and it just kind of like shows us like...
Yeah, it's like, what about this idea?
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, what about it?
Yeah. But the thing about rating is like, no, like we actually have that. Like that's not even SF.
Right.
Right? Like that's like, you just have clout on your Instagram. True. But it's like, yeah.
Like social media. It's good for some things. I know it's good for some things.
No,
like,
I mean,
we wouldn't be here right now if social media.
That's true.
Didn't exist.
That's true. Yeah, it's nice to have a digital representation that people can find.
Right.
But you don't want everybody to find it, and you don't want figuring out where that boundary is tough. But I feel like I'm like, I don't know, I'm just kind of rambling now. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. That's true. But is there something particular you want to know, or like about cryptocurrency, or just am I?
Is it do you have to buy cryptocurrency? Like
you don't have to. No, that's typically, if you were to take a sample of the 100 nearest people from us right now who own cryptocurrency, probably 99 or 100 out of them would have bought most of their cryptocurrency with United States dollars. But any cryptocurrency, like I said, it's just like Eva points.
So can you gift them?
Yes.
So the other one person is getting gifted this cryptocurrency.
Yeah, because they're only valuable because people have decided that they're valuable. So, like, the first Bitcoin, which was created by an anonymous person or people called Satoshi Nakamoto.
Whoa.
Gave them to a gentleman named Hal Finney.
Okay.
And that's just like, it's just like, here are some Satoshi points.
So fucking cool.
And now those Satoshi points are, worth billions.
Like, cool, but like also a little like scary. Like the power. Like if once we decide something has meaning, like that's it.
Yeah, totally.
So cool. It makes me think of. I ended up giving this homeless man like $40. Which I don't have like $40 to just like give to people, but
right.
I kind of just got like sucked in, and he was like, I really need a shower. I'm just trying to like get to this like hotel room that's really cheap and like shower there because at the shelters it's like fucked. And I was like, you know what, man, like you deserve a shower, and I gave him some money, but we continued like talking and like walking around, and he was like telling me about his family and like the hard times that had fallen on them, and like he was like, yeah, I'm just like really going through it, or something like that sentence. And this old man that was like walking opposite us like walked by and heard him say that, and he goes, well, you know what you should do about tough times, man? Buy Bitcoin. and that was his advice. And me and the guy just looked at each other like, what a fucking idiot. But like, who knows, man?
Well, when was this?
It's like a week ago.
Oh, well, okay.
Yeah.
In that case, buying Bitcoin
it doesn't matter.
Would not have necessary. I mean,
this point, is it worth it?
If this had, well, that's this is not financial advice, but it's like the joke / not joke disclaimer everybody has to give, because I guess it's like illegal to give financial advice if you're not a certified financial advisor. I don't know. I assume so, because if you watch any videos about this or read articles, it'll always be at the top. So actually nobody should listen to me, because I'm not they're or not nobody should listen to me, but they're much smarter people to listen to than me. But I'll put it this way: I was reading a New Yorker article about this guy Mark Andreessen. He sort of invented the internet browser, and now he co-runs one of the bigger venture capital firms called Andreessen Horowitz.
Okay. And
so they've funded, whatever, Facebook, blah, 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 a lot of things that get really, really successful. They're pretty good at it. And one of the things he said in it was, when we're looking at companies something like a Facebook that could, potentially be interesting or useful to any human, the more it's valued, the more it's undervalued.
Interesting.
Because
okay.
The fact that it's valued highly shows that it kind of has some separation from other things and has this huge potential. And if it actually has this potential that people are seeing in it, there's no way you're actually able to see the full value of it.
So perception.
Just if something has, if something wins, if Bitcoin, of all the cryptocurrencies, whatever the fuck Elon Musk is doing with Dogecoin, whatever, of all the cryptocurrencies, I think it's fair to say that Bitcoin is still the most likely one to become a global currency.
Okay.
If such a thing were to happen, which is by no means guaranteed.
So,
if Bitcoin does become a global currency, then it's obviously undervalued.
Okay. That's such a convoluted way of being yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I will keep that in mind.
Yeah.
I'm also just terrified of online things, so
yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah. Well, there's always Eva points.
Dude, I could literally just start being Eva points.
Yeah.
That has the meaning, and then...
A lot of people do that. That's what a lot of cryptocurrency...
nothing's real anymore, man. It just feels like nothing's real.
Yeah, a lot of things are fake. Money, United States dollars, are definitely fake.
Yeah. They are, yeah.
They're super fake. Is that a good thing to end on? Should we end on that?
I think, yeah, everything's fake.
Okay. Do you want to play a little harmonica lick?
Yeah. Let me do Piano Man. Wait, hold on. Okay, here we go.
Well, it's Friday night on a Saturday. Oh, am I supposed to sing while you're doing that?
Yeah, it's okay. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for being here.